Yeah.
So.
And we are rolling.
We're here at the 35th Crim Festival of Races with Lisa Rainsberger, who has won the Crim 3 times. And one of my favorite things to say about you is you are the last American to have won the Boston Marathon. Sometimes they mix you up with Greg Meyer.
That's true. Greg and I are fighting for that spot. But, you know, Greg and I both went to Michigan, and we're both the last Americans. And so it tells you a lot about the tenacity of Michiganders. So it's quite an honor.
Well, Lisa, you won the Crim quite a few times several years ago when the competition was really fierce. And you're back here now. And what are some of your memories of those early Crims?
Well, the first memory I have was the very first race I ran here. I drove in from Battle Creek. I was working with my dad that summer in construction, and you know I swung a hammer, and so I drove in and bought a number and entered the race just like everybody else does, and I ended up finishing 3rd overall. And they didn't have me in the results because they had put me in the men's results. So I was listed as Mr. Lisa Raines Berger in the results. They finally got it clarified, and that's really the beginning of how I got to know Lois Craig. She was so embarrassed, and she felt so bad that they had made a mistake, but it really cemented our friendship for the next almost 30 years.
Well, a fast time like that could easily be mistaken for a guy in those days.
That's true, but boy, it just, the next couple years I came back and had great success here, and the second memory that I have that's most vivid was when Ann O'Dane and I were finishing on the bricks, and we were racing for 2nd place, and it was fierce, it was true and raw, and we both, as soon as we crossed the finish line in a dead heat, we just both started cracking up because it was so funny. We were both digging so hard, and it was just a reckless abandon, all-out sprint. And once we crossed the line, it was like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. And we both ran very fast as a result of it, but it was a memory that I'll never forget.
Well, Lisa, as I recall, running wasn't your first sport. You were a swimmer.
I was. Thanks to a peanut farmer, I became a runner. I qualified in 1980 for the U.S. Olympic trials as a swimmer, but again, that was the year we boycotted the Olympics. And so rather than stick around town and sulk and watch the Olympics where everyone else was at, I decided to go to Wyoming. And in Wyoming, I discovered beer and boys, and I gained about 15 pounds. So I started running with vigor to lose weight. And when I came back my sophomore year at Michigan, I walked on the cross-country team, and the rest is kind of history.
So you found a talent you didn't know you had.
Well, I knew I could run because I was always running, as a kid. I mean, it's what we did. We played, and I ran a little bit in high school, but it was not my sport. I mean, I was a swimmer, 5'10", 156 pounds, and I was truly, a swimmer. But with the, just finding running through weight loss, it just opened a lot of doors for me.
Well, one of the doors that opened was your entry into the Boston Marathon. Can you talk a little bit about 1984?
Well, 1985 was the year I won. Yes. And I was living in Boston at the time. I had just moved from Battle Creek to a small town called Marblehead, Massachusetts. And I thought, I'm here, might as well run the Boston Marathon. And up until that point in the year, I had had a great season. I had set an American record in the 5 mile and again in the 30K. And so I was really, primed to do well. So I did go into Boston as the pre-race favorite, which was, looking back, I don't know if I could have handled that later in my career, but being 23 years old, I was green, I was, all of that. And so it just kind of fell into place, and boy, it opened up a lot of doors for me later in my life.
And speaking of opening more doors, one of the things that you do now is coaching. Who do you coach, and what do you coach, and how's that changed your life?
Well, it's an extension of my life. Coaching is really, I fell into it. After I stopped competing, I had a young woman contact me and say, well, now that we're not enemies because we're competing against each other, would you coach me? And I thought, wow, really? You want me to coach you? And sure enough, she went on to win a bronze medal in the triathlon, and her name is Susan Williams. And so Susan really kind of planted the seed for me to be a coach, and so now I own and operate a company called traininggoals.com, and I contract with many organizations, primarily the Army World Class Athlete Program. I coach their top athletes. I've coached with Team Semper Fi, which is a program through Wounded Marines, and then I contract with the U.S. Paralympics to coach wounded athletes.
Oh wow, that sounds just fabulous. Do you actually get to go to the Paralympics?
Yes, I go to a lot of the competitions, which again is just fabulous because once you're a world-class athlete, you get to travel a lot, and so I still get to maintain a fair bit of travel, which it's exciting. And next summer I'll take my whole family to London for the Olympics, and we'll experience that as a family. So.
Oh, that should be really exciting. So where's home for you now?
I live in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and I love Michigan. I am a true Michigander, but I have to tell you, I do not miss the mosquitoes. I went for a run last night, and I was amazed at the number of vermins that were all over me. So I miss Michigan. I miss the water, and just the grass and the woods. I grew up in a little town, and my house is right across the street from the woods, and I miss that beauty that we have here. But again, like I said, I don't miss the mosquitoes.
Well, it's great to see you back in Michigan for this special running of the Crim, and it's fun to meet one of the true legends. Thank you for talking with us, Lisa.
You're so welcome. Thank you very much, and go blue.
Hey. We have here Cathy O'Brien, one of the legends of the Crim, and she's a legend because she set a world record at the 10 mile, and that was 1989, right, Cathy?
Yes, that was 1989. I believe the course record still stands. Since it's been broken, it's not the world record anymore, but now it's still the American record.
Well, I understand that it took a really long time for anybody to break it, so you really had that record for longer than most people do, I think.
Yes, I'm not exactly sure when it was broken, but it was around for a number of years, and it's something I'm really proud of.
It's a long time ago, but how much of that race can you remember? You had a really powerful field behind you that day.
Well, like you said, it was a long time ago, I guess over 20 years, and being back at Crim has kind of brought some memories to the forefront, and I remember it was a great day. It was good conditions. There was a couple hills, but it was a wonderful course, and I just had one of those great peak kind of days where everything clicks, and I think that's why it came together to be such a good race.
I think among the people chasing you were Lisa Rainsberger and Ann O'Dane and Priscilla Welch, and those are not shabby runners themselves, are they?
No, not at all. That was a great field, and on any given day, any one of those women could have won. But it was I guess it was my day in terms of how I was feeling. So yeah, it was a wonderful race.
Well, Cathy, you were on our cover, and I wish I had brought it when our magazine celebrated its 25th anniversary, and because it was one of the historic photos that we had. And I've always wondered, what did setting a world record do for your running and your career?
Well, it certainly gave me confidence, and I'm still really proud. When I look at the names of the women who have come through, the Kenyan runners, some of which have won major marathons and stuff, and to think that I still have the course record, it's sort of makes me feel like I wasn't too shabby. But especially where I'm in a different phase of my life, I don't think about those things as much. But it's something I'm prideful of, and will always have.
What are some of the memories that are coming back now that you've returned to the Crim for the 35th?
Well, I'm just impressed that they're, 35 years celebration. I'm remembering the warmness of the people. I'm impressed by the turnout of people for this event, and now I remember why I had such a good feeling about this race, and you know, again when I was running competitively, not just that one time.
We have here one of the legends of the Crim, Herb Lindsay, and Herb, you won it 3 times, and not only that, you beat Greg Meyer some of those, didn't you?
I did win 3 times, and actually the fastest time I ran on a course was an 82 when I finished second to Steve Kenyon. So
I hate how that happens.
Very competitive race in those days, and those times still rank as some of the fastest times on the course.
Well, in fact, you and Greg had a rivalry that went back to college, if not before that.
Oh yeah, we ran our first races against each other in our 14th or 15th year. 14 or 50-year-olds running head-to-head. We never ran against each other in high school competition at the state meet, but we were able to run against each other in college repeatedly, and then after college. I think probably we came out pretty even. He won some, I won some.
Well, you were a Spartan and he was a Wolverine, if I've got that right.
Yeah, we always enjoyed the rivalry. You know, he wrote on I asked him to autograph a picture recently, and he wrote, "You always brought out the best in me." And I think I could say the same of him. We had some good races.
Well, Herb, you've had a lot of good races. In fact, I believe you held the 10-mile world record at one time.
You know, they threw out records because they wanted to standardize how courses were measured, but I ran 45:58 in New York City on an accurately measured course and had a race of the day, ran about that's about 4:34 per mile, but they didn't recognize that record, so I don't have that record. But
well, we recognize that record.
So yeah, that was a good day. I ran away from Greg Virgin and Frank Shorter and Dick Quacks, and I mean many of the top runners of the time.
Well, you actually did have quite a few really great runners chasing you. It was kind of the heyday in some ways of running in the United States. So.
It was a time in the sport that will never be replicated. Of course, it was a lot of the money was under the table. It was before cash prizes were openly accepted, and we loved to race, and we raced a lot. Today's top runners, they were very, very, very selective in how they run races, and they don't come to as many races like this one.
Well, Herb, one of the things that I remember is when you turned 40, you set a goal for yourself and you ran a whole bunch of 5Ks in less than 16 minutes, as I recall.
Well, you know, I like to give myself a goal that's motivation for me in training. It breaks up the monotony of training. I like to have the goal in mind. And that was the goal, to run under 16 in as many times as I could. I didn't run longer races, and like today, I'm getting ready to run another Crim, but it won't be the 10-mile race, it won't be the 8K, it'll be the 5K. But my goal is to run under 6-minute pace. So as a 57-year-old guy, I'm hoping I can still go out and run faster than a lot of high school boys get. So I'd probably make some high school teams, top 7.
Well, speaking of high school teams, you've been doing some coaching, haven't you?
Yeah, I've coached high school boys and girls. I'm no longer coaching, but I'm still a mentor to the team and spend a lot of time with young athletes.
Well, Herb, it's been a real treat talking to you. We look forward to seeing you at the 5K finish line tomorrow.
Yeah, look at the results. It'll be there. And not the fastest runners run that race, but I still like the challenge of it. It's a race with me, for me.
Age group, probably.
That'll be fun for me.
Okay. Thanks, Herb.